My name is Michael, and this is for family and marriage class. Um, my screen on my Chromebook does not work, so I'm gonna have to record this way. But I've made a presentation on the movie Miss Doubtfire, and this is just an overview of everything that went down throughout the movie and how it can relate back to our class using 10 different examples and socialization and what I learned. So this is my presentation. So first of all, Mrs. Doubtfire in the movie, it demonstrates the role of gender performance theory. And the movie shows that if Daniel can take on feminine traits, he can play the role of a woman to its highest possible measure. So basically, all Daniel has to do in the movie is take on these feminine traits, and that's what the movie is portraying. And if he is able to do that, he plays the role of a woman to the greatest level that he can. And throughout the movie, it's showing that the gender that Daniel takes on helps him. The way he acts more feminine kind of helps him express some more sympathy towards the kids as he takes on the role of the nanny. And through the movie, we see him performing not just to the needs met, but to what he would need to meet as a girl. So basically, he's doing all the roles that a girl would do, a girl nanny would do, and that's the new way of his acting that he takes on. And the film also looks to take the performance from girls in a comical role. So the movie's a comedy. It doesn't, basically takes on some stereotypes, but the way it does this is by portraying what a nanny would look like taking on this role. And it's a comical way, though. It's in a funny way that the movie portrays this. So gendered throughout the movie, we see stereotypical gender roles, and these gender roles are on point. And throughout the movie, you can tell that basically what the movie is portraying for girls is how girls would act, how a nanny would act. Gender is an example of performance, kind of is what the movie is saying. The movie uses performance and how it is claiming, the movie is claiming he is able to meet the standards, and he is able to meet his performance well once he switches up his gender role as he takes the role of the nanny. And many ideas come back to the film being transphobic. So now people say that the film is kind of transphobic, that men kind of can't act this way even if they want to, because them acting this way is them acting as a woman, and a man can't act that way. We also see family socialization. And this movie portrays divorce, and the children miss their father since they are living separately. We see that the kids are pretty sad throughout the film, and Daniel doesn't want to see his kids this way. And even though there's restricted limits now, as Daniel isn't allowed to see his kids, he's only allowed one visit per week. Even though he's only allowed a visit per week, he wants to figure out a way that he can change that. He doesn't want it to just be one visit per week. And that's why Daniel takes on the role of the nanny, so that he can see his kids more than once a week. And Daniel is still able to communicate in this way. He's still able to talk to his kids. There's not really a disconnect. Now that he's able to be the nanny, he's able to see what's going on in their lives. And bonding is still on point, even though Daniel is no longer technically part of the family. He's still bonding with the kids every single day by being their nanny. He's still seeing them nonstop. We see love in the movie too. So Daniel is, first of all, he's fired from his job because he didn't want to perform a voiceover for a smoking parrot. So once he's fired from this job, his wife is like, Daniel, what's going on. And Daniel throws a little party for his kid named Chris, and the wife disapproves of it. And not only does she disapprove of it, this kind of leads to the divorce. And Miranda, which is his wife's name, she gets upset about the party, and she's like, Daniel, this has gone too far. And Daniel is then only allowed to have one visit per week with his kids once this happens. And since only one visit per week is allowed, Daniel is frustrated with this, and he wants to still be able to see his kids more than that. And you can kind of tell how his love for the kids still is authentic, even though he's only allowed one visit per week. Daniel and Miranda, they've been married for a very long time before the divorce, about 13 years. So since they've been married for such a long time, this time away from the kids, it can sort of play a mental effect on him. It feels different for Daniel. And Miranda wins custody over the children because Daniel doesn't have anywhere to live. He doesn't have a job anymore as he got fired. And since this is happening, Daniel's life just seems to be all out of shape. And the movie shows that children can still be happy, even if there's a divorce within the family. We still see many happy moments from the children after this happens. They're not just totally in shambles. And there can still be hard in the relationship with happy kids. There can still be hard times, yet happy moments still going on through these hard times. We see cohabitation throughout the movie, as well as technically they're still living together, as Daniel is he's the nanny and he's in this house. They're not living together in a relationship, but we still see them in the same house. Daniel is in the house still all the time, taking up the role of the nanny. And Daniel is not trying to continue his relationship with Miranda, but he's more focused on the kids. He really is trying to focus on still giving the kids what they want and what they deserve. The social location in the movie, we see this takes place in San Francisco, which is where the Hillard family's house is. And it's a very nice house. It's in a nice location, seems in a little bit of a wealthier area. And the court has limited Daniel's time to once a week seeing the kids. So the court made a ruling, and this is actually a legal requirement, that Daniel can only see his kids once a week. And so there's also a social class battle that takes place as well. And this can go into the social location category because there's a battle going on. Miranda is wealthy. Daniel is less wealthy. And that kind of plays a role in who gets to see the kids still after the divorce and who doesn't. Now, when it goes to having children, Daniel finds it kind of unacceptable that he can only see his kids once a week. And this leads him to taking on the role of the nanny because he figures he can't have kids and only see them once a week. Daniel, first of all, prioritized his job as a food critic over the kids. So Daniel's a food critic, and basically, once he really invests into that more than the kids, that's where there's some issues. Daniel is involved in the food trying business, and he's really uninvolved in his kids' lives the way he should be. So this teaches us some morals of the way that your relationship with your kids should look. Because if your job is more important than your time with your kids, it can all just go downhill. And again, we see Daniel being a little overly enthusiastic when he first comes into taking care of the kids as a nanny. He's probably excited because he's seeing his kids again. He's figured out a way, and he knows that deep inside of his head. And the thing is, if he had kids with her, why can he not see the kids the same amount? That's the question. You could think that the court would figure out a way that there could be maybe meeting Daniel at the park, Daniel playing with the kids at the park. And, is there anything that they could do, even since Daniel doesn't have much say in what his kids can do? I feel like there's more that can do, And Daniel figures the way that he can do this is by becoming a nanny. And when we explore remarriage, there's no, after the divorce, there's really no interest in remarriage between the two. There's no really big second chances. And that idea isn't really explored too much for Daniel and Miranda in this movie. A complaint happened from the neighbor as well, which kind of led to the divorce. That kind of made things spiral down as a complaint. Social institutions. So this relationship definitely isn't private. It's being taken to public. We see them meeting here with this lady multiple times throughout the movie. And it raises the idea of how this might be a possible way to be able to see the kids in an acceptable way again. Things have gone downhill, but obviously Daniel still wants to see his kids. And is this really the acceptable way it should have gone about? Was this the last option for Daniel? Could he have talked more about getting his way without having to be the nanny? I don't know, but in this movie, that's the role it takes on. And throughout the movie, socialization is used many times. So obviously the ways I referred to that is the way that socialization is used. But a couple more times is women caring about nurturing more than men. Obviously, we explored how the idea in the movie is that women care a little more than men, it seems, and at least are more sensitive to the kids' needs. And Daniel does great when taking the feminine role. So that's another example of that, because once Daniel starts acting in a feminine way, he's able to communicate better with his kids. And children come to appreciate how much the nanny is always there for him in every single scenario. So once he's there for the kids really start loving him. They feel more invested into than before. And then Daniel faces judgment for his role with the kids beforehand. The new boyfriend of Miranda is judging him. His neighbors are judging him. There's many people judging him throughout the movie. And Daniel later realizes how important it was for him to be involved. You see a character change in Daniel's mind. You see Daniel really focused on what it means to be more involved for him. So that's all for the movie. Now, when exploring the ideas of family and marriage, how have they changed for me while taking this course? Well, I've learned a lot. Taking this class has led me to think more and more about raising kids. It's allowed me to be able to expand my mind about how important it really is. Marriage is so extremely important too, and this class has helped me to continue to think about that and consider how important it is, because marriage is something that a lot of us will start very soon, so it's important to start thinking about that. So I've really enjoyed this class, and thank you for all the help.